Hey guys, today I'm going to give you an update on those tomatoes we started together. They are established seedlings now, so I'm going to show you how to thin your seedlings, how to move them up to a larger pot, and just some good practices with seedlings. I do have a couple other things in here. I have some basil and some borage I started, so I'm going to give you an update on those as well. So first things first, what supplies do you need to up pot your tomatoes? So I have a really good potting mix. This is from Box Farm. It does have worm casings in it and bat guana. So it's already got built-in fertilizer in the potting mix. So once we transfer these into our larger pots, we're gonna see these tomatoes take off. Because remember, we use seed starting mix, which doesn't have nutrients built in there. So once we move them and they have potting mix, they'll just have more stuff to take off. So other supplies you need, I have a watering can for when we water these in. You know, have a small pair of scissors. These are actually like a cosmetic, like eyebrow scissors, but I have a pair that I keep just in my plant room because I specifically use these to thin my seedlings. And then our tomatoes, we're going to be transferring to these larger pots today. As you can see, they have some nice drainage holes in them. And then I have an extra tray that we'll be using because we're going to continue to bottom water these. So basically what we'll do is once we transfer them into here, I'll place them in and I can actually fit 18 of these pots in this tray. And this is the same Jiffy tray that we used in my seed starting mix. I just have extra. So if you bought one kit like in the video, you'll actually be able to use that bottom tray. You'll take out, there's a center reservoir, and then you can place your larger pots in. So there's two things you can do once you have more established plants. You can either thin them, which is going to be where you have 2 plants per container, because remember the tomatoes we sowed 2 to 3 seeds. So for this plant we actually had both seeds germinate, which is great. So thinning them means that you'll actually come in with your pair of scissors and you're just gonna go to the baseline of the plant and you'll just snip it. And this is trash now, or you can compost it. And so now we're left with one strong seedling. You're going to want to wait to thin your plants till both plants that came up have their first set of true leaves. So the true leaves are the actual second set of leaves that came up. We had our first set that initially came up. I think I have an example, a smaller tomato. See, this one still has just its first set of leaves. So I'm going to wait on this plant to thin or transfer till it gets more established. So the reason why I chose to thin this one is this is a Sweet 100 tomato. They have cascading cherry tomatoes, super prolific, and I don't need a ton of these. Some of my other tomatoes, I'm gonna show you how to split those and actually have 2 plants, but I'm okay with the amount of Sweet 100s I have, so that's why I thinned it today. So if you started more than 1 seed per cell and your hope was just in case they didn't all germinate, but you don't have the space to have, 20 tomato plants, you only have space for 10 tomato plants, then definitely you can go in and thin those plants. I know some people get really tied to seedlings and it's a hard thing to, cut them and their life a little early. I don't, right? Because those packs came with 30, 40 seeds, so plenty of time and opportunity for more seeds. So let me show you how to up pot these. Okay, had to bring you in a little bit closer so you could see everything. So I have my pot that I'm going to be transferring. I'm going to use one of my tomatoes. And remember, I really like these Jiffy little pellet pods because they actually can rip open really easy, which is going to make this transfer job really easy. So this is a tomato. You can see we have the first set of leaves, and then we have our true leaves that have come up. And then I don't know if you can see, but tomatoes, you see how it's a little fuzzy and hairy? They will actually continue to grow roots along their stalk. So what we're gonna do is, when we add some dirt into this, is I'm gonna plant them a little bit deeper than how it previously was. And what will happen is more roots are gonna come out of this stalk, and that's gonna make for a stronger plant. And I'll do the same thing once I actually take these and transfer them into my garden. I'll plant them a little bit deeper. So what I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna tear off these first set of leaves that aren't even the true leaves. I'm gonna get rid of those, keep my label so I don't forget what's what. Again, these are the green zebra tomatoes. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slowly rip this pod open. And I really like these because this doesn't disturb the roots at all. These plants aren't root bound at all. They're growing perfect. So see, I can take this whole plant and I can actually place it in here. And then I'm gonna fill it up with some potting mix. And then this one's done. And make sure to remember to put your label back in. And there you have it. We have this one all potted up. Now, one of my next favorite things to do is to actually separate two seedlings. So for instance, let me find a good example for you guys. Okay, here is a great example. So in this pellet, I have two black crowns because both seeds that I planted germinated. So the plants that I'm using today, just for example for the video, I am selling these as plant starts for other people. So these are both very healthy looking black crim tomato plants. There's no yellowing. They look great. Thick stalks. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to separate these so I can have two plants for me to sell. So just as easy, we get another pot, as it was to open that first one. We're going to do the same thing and open this pot. And you can see these have great root development. Again, another reason why I like these little pods. And then what I'm going to do is ever so slightly over a pot so I make less of a mess, is try to separate these seedlings. So you have to be very gentle. Remember, plants are resilient, so you're not hurting them. And remember, we're going to bury these tomato plants a little deep, so they'll grow more roots anyway. And this is also another trick that, you know, if you're not starting your own seeds, if you're buying your starts from somebody or like a nursery, you know, sometimes you'll see that they have, you know, 5 lettuces together in a tray. You can, you know, do the same thing. Take that home and then you have 5 plants instead of the one, but you pay for the price of one, so it's really nice. Okay, so I'm just kind of sloughing off some of this excess dirt. Just really getting it to where we're at the main part of the plant. Just giving them a good tug. They have become friends. Okay, so now we have 2 plants. So I'm going to plant both of them separately. And I need to remember to make another label for my other black crim. So let me get these potted up. Okay, so I have them all potted up. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna continue to pot these guys up. And I'll do that in a quick mode so that way you don't have to see the whole thing in real time. Something else I wanted to show you, if you weren't ready for a bump up this large, or if you're not growing tomatoes, which need a bigger housing thing, if you were doing something that can maintain a smaller space, like I have some Thai basil here, which obviously I seeded pretty heavily. I think I have, it's looking like 8 plants in here. I guess I was thinking the germination wasn't going to be great, but it was. I also have some smaller pots. These are actually like a 6-pack. So I also started some flowers from seed, and my idea is to transfer them into these once they're large enough. And I can do a separate video on that if you guys want to see that, just let me know. But I think I'm gonna separate some of my basil and put them in these smaller containers. Okay, now that I got these all up potted, everyone's in their own little container. They have tons of room to grow. They're gonna stay in these containers until it's time for me to transplant them into the garden, which, with our crazy Texas weather, that could be March 1st or later in March. So that's why I opted for a bigger container, just in case if they need to stay in there just a little bit longer. I'm gonna continue to bottom water these. So what I'll do, since this is the first time that I've planted them, I'll give them a good little water from the top just so the soil can settle. But from then on, I'm just gonna water the bottom of the pan, which is gonna let the roots soak up the water so that way we can have a really healthy plant. I'm gonna continue to fertilize these about once a week. I know a lot of people do it a little bit more quicker than that, but I've had pretty good luck with just once a week fertilizing. So I just do a weekend strength fertilizer, and I do the same thing where I water them in with the fertilizer on the bottom so that way they can really pull that moisture up. So I'm gonna get these watered in, put them back underneath the grow lights. They're starting to look a little droopy. Some of these I tore apart and gave them a little workout. So let me get these watered in, put them back under the grow lights, and that's it. So let me know if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you're up potting your tomatoes and if you're getting excited for spring. I'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I'll plant with you later.